Thank you, Mr. Bhatia, for the introduction. Well, actually it is difficult to speak after so many speakers have spoken about a subject. And definitely I am posed with the challenge of the time as well. But what I am bringing to you is the application of LED, particularly in lighting. And to bring that to you, I am slightly changing the focus of the forum itself. I am trying to explain and make you understand what is light. But that is of paramount importance to us, and that is how I explain the whole subject. And in the meanwhile, you will understand how important LED is now in that context. Just spare me for my voice as well. Well, I start with a note which says architecture is masterly correct play of mass brought together in presence of light. It sums up everything for our existence in the environment, it sums up everything as to how we see. Now, my entire presentation is divided in 4 parts. It's vision and light, human perception, design objectives, and design aspects. Well, I begin with a question, with a mood question. What is light? How do we understand it? And largely there have been too many physical definitions of it, like electromagnetic waveform, radiant energy, whatever. But we look at light in a slightly different prism, a medium which visually connects a human being to the environment. It stimulates the sense of vision, enables perception of the space, form, and associated functions and all. So now you understand how important the light is. If you switch off, if you remove the light from the space, practically we will not be able to connect with the environment. And whole of our perception of the space and understanding and the action thereby are governed largely by the quality of this light in the space. And hence it is important, the qualitative aspect of the lighting design. Well, as we all know, I'll just run through these slides quickly as to what visible light is. It comes in a spectrum. Now all of these initial slides have something to do with the few slides in the presentation in the second part. So just have a look at it carefully. Now, as Mr. Sood was explaining, as far as light is concerned, the clear visible light exists only in this funnel that you see on the screen, and it has 2 parameters. One is your intensity and another is color temperature. What it says is anything outside that funnel, above or below, does not tend to render or perceive the space as it is. It tends either to dim or it tends to make it unnatural. And this is a typical problem seen with these, as he mentioned, the LEDs, which are not that recommended, where you tend to have higher, lower, I would say intensity, but the color temperature is high, and hence they are not able to render the objects properly. Then this is all about the light, what we talk about. Then we talk about vision. How do we see? It is comparable to something like a camera. Both use lens and aperture and an image, that is photosensitive surface. In case of an eye, what is important is the lens, the light sensitive surface, that is retina, or and why is this important? Because the nerves and tissues nerve tissues in the retina are of 2 types, cones and rods. Both of these are responsible for certain different vision. We call it as a central vision and peripheral vision. Now, the central vision is something which enables you to focus, but the peripheral vision is more vital because it actually creates the sense of the perception of the space. What is a peripheral vision? It's something like you're focusing on me right now and something is happening here. Your eye tends to shift the focus because that movement is registered, that flicker is registered by the peripheral vision. It is very highly sensitive towards movement, and believe me, lighting has a lot of thing to do with this, particularly in the public spaces. When we have a different variety of lighting and there is some uneven movement, there is a change of shift. I'll explain you how this works in the application part of it later. Okay, this is all about vision and light. Second thing that we talk about is the human perception. How do we perceive? This is what we see, but how do we perceive? Now, when it's a usual thing. What I tell people to do is close your eyes for 10 seconds and open it. When you, for the first thing that you will notice is either moving, bright, high contrast, or either a combination of all this. And our perception is largely governed by 6 parameters. One is the focus selection, adaptation, accommodation, contrast sensitivity, visual acuity, and speed of perception. Now, the 3 images on the screen have different lighting solutions for the same space. Now, all the 3 have different lighting condition, and the focus automatically gets shifted. And this is how the lighting can bring the value to the whole space, and how lighting can change the perception. This is an example of it. Now we evaluate an environment as to how well structured, organized, or illuminated it is to satisfy our needs of visual information. And brain actually analyzes and perceives the entire visual field and grasps the clues out of it. It is a reciprocal system, where we call it as a visual information system, where we interact with the space, get some clues, and act accordingly. Now, essentially, the good lighting system needs to understand the visual perception, the information system, and have a correct focus in the space. The best example of it, this is we are sitting, the dais is lit, and this space is lit. The dais, if goes blank, then the focus selection is lost totally. And this is how the focus selection is important. Now, adaptation. Now, the process whereby an eye is able to function over a wide range of luminance. Well, biologically, we are designed in, I would say, so greatly that we can adapt to any situation. Now, largely we have seen the varying lux levels, and from the daytime during the night time, still we are able to see or perceive the objects or the space. Now, with this tendency is called as an adaptation, and with these there are 3 sets of definition of the visions. One is photopic, which is below 0.5 candela per square meter. I will not go into the technicals of it. Second is photopic, which is above the 3 candela per square meter. In both these cases, the difference is only about the sensation of color. You cannot, in the night time, you cannot differentiate between the colors, but in the photopic vision you can. Yes, intermediate, there is one more, which is a mesopic vision, and which is more important because the color sensitivity is there, but it diminishes, and there is a shift. We call it as a shift from perception, where there is a shift from red to blue. And to all my manufacturer friends, this is an important application where LED can contribute a lot, because there is a lot of research going on this, and the LED has certain characteristics based on its making that can give a proper solution in this range, which so far other lighting solutions have not been able to. Now, there is something called as an accommodation, which is nothing but ranging. We are able to focus at one point and beyond. Of course, besides that, there is something called as contrast sensitivity. That is a relative difference between the object and its immediate surrounding. With LED, this is a major concern and problem, because it's a source, and when what happens is, due to the direct application of it and not too much of luminance or buffers between the source and the eye, there is a kind of contrast which is created within the space, which is always not a good condition. Because particularly with contrast, there is an issue with age. The people having of a higher age have lesser acceptability to the high contrast environment, and hence we need to be very careful applying LED, particularly with contrast sensitivity issue. Visual acuity, I am sure everybody here knows, it is the ability to distinguish between the objects, and the speed of perception, it is the reciprocal of time interval between a contrast which is presented and it is perceived. Now, what all does this do? When all these 6 parameters, what do they govern? They actually govern, and they enable us to form our opinion about the space as to how, whether it is distractive, is it positively focused, is it gloomy, is it cheerful, is it dull, is it dramatic, is it chaotic, it is ordered, public, intimate. all this is the psychological influence of the lighting condition, and this is of prime importance for any solution or for any lighting condition or any building which exists. Okay, we are done with the human perception part of it. We straight away come to the design objectives. Now, having understood vision and light, having understood human perceptions, how can we come to the design objective? How can we define them? There is a effort to do that. If I will just understand it, there are 5 aspects which are important to determine, or can be called as design objectives. First is the identify activity needs, environmental objectives, biological needs, human factor, and efficiency, which largely has been talked about a lot. Well, when we talk about the activity needs, it's let us understand it that every built environment is created to house some activities. It is therefore important to analyze the activities with respect to who are the people involved, what is the location, complexity, priority, frequency of operations, and associated visual functions. Now, particularly for the public space, it is very important, as we've been discussing about the railway stations at DMRC. Largely, they have a different set of priorities as far as lighting is concerned. Now, to understand these priorities and give a solution is always the right way of doing it. Thereby, probably you will have a correct lighting and maybe save a better energy and still give a better lighting. Now, you need to understand what are the tasks, whether they are vertical, horizontal, 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. Now, the slides that we have in front of you is the second slide that we talk about. There are 2 tasks. One is a whiteboard and second is the writing bench. Now, first is a vertical task and second is horizontal. The third slide that we see is all about a vertical task. Again, it is in a different color. So now, often, it is a mistaken thing that you increase the level of illumination, that is lux level, and you will be able to see better. With respect to the last image, if you see, there are colors in the vertical panel. No matter however intensity of light you increase, you will not be able to see it. It is only the correct light with the correct rendering index you will be able to make this perceive better. And hence I say that let us not follow a shotgun method. There are 2 methods of lighting design. One is a shotgun method and other is a rifle method. Shotgun method is you select a lux level, which is typically done, and sweat blanket finish it with that lux level. Now, to bring back focus to the determined lux level, we talked about 300 lux or 200 lux. They were designed for a particular activity. Now, you know how they were designed. During those days, the benchmark to design this was reading the 5th smudge carbon copy. If you can read it at that level, that is an optimum level for writing. But today our activities have changed. We no more work on we don't write in the offices anymore. Everybody is with the computers. Our whole way of working style, everything has changed. Today the screen itself in front of our eyes is almost at 200 lux or more than that. So we need to change this. We cannot be just following particular standards. I am not against the standards, but there is a time to rethink over them and give a correct solution. Instead, in rifle method, what we advocate is identify task, give it a priority, make your scheme in such a fashion that a correct activity is given a correct light. Well, then we have environmental objectives. Well, what is an environmental objective? A good luminous environment helps us to do what we want and makes us feel good while we do that. Now, when we are comfortable, when our focus selection is completed and our information sort is clearly visible, there is no distractions in the visual field. Now, you see 3 images. There are 3 railway stations at different time. Now, the first image gives you a clear indication of there being a road or there being a passageway, there being some information which is displayed. The second is absolutely chaotic. The light itself is an hindrance. There is no message, there is no information revealed, and hence the person using it is likely to get confused. And the third is equally important because there is too much of darkness, but at the same time there is too much of light as well. So there is a total imbalance. Now we need to understand our environment first and what are the merits, what does the environment mean to communicate back to us, and design it accordingly. So that environmental objectives are the second important aspect. So this is a very good example. Now this, the first left side is, we call this as a hybrid lighting. You have hybrid energy. Now we have this a new definition of hybrid lighting. What it gives, what it explains us is a depth of field that the space is offering. There is a clear sense of orientation. At the same time, there is a balanced use of two lights. One is natural, other is artificial. With the same place having a lighting solution. Look at the second image on the right hand side. First image on the right hand side. Now that is again a concourse area where there is a light, where the luminaires are fit in such a fashion that none of their signages are seen. Now this is an example. One is good as well as bad. How a good lighting can be and how a bad lighting can be. Okay. Then we come to the biological needs. Now what is biological needs? As we talked about visual information system, the human perception is active information seeking process. It involves many mechanisms in eye and brain. Now some of these are conscious. We act consciously. We look for some informations consciously, and definitely those should be made readily perceptible. But there is some information which we look at unconsciously. We don't look at seek those informations voluntarily. And eye constantly monitors and scans for changes in the immediate environment. And often these signals or stimulates the sense of impression of that space. So most of the perception, as I said earlier, occurs in this zone where you are involuntarily seeking, when your information seeking is involuntary. The image that we have on the top is of a church where there is a conscious effort of not illuminating the lower part. They have only illuminated the upper part, enable those people and connect themselves with the environment there. At the same time, they know their objective, or the people there are not gathered for some activity which needs a light. The light is only in the altar. The second image that we see is of a restaurant where the activity is intimate. You don't need much of the light on the table, but you have the periphery or the space around you which is lit. Because why do they lit this space? Because that is where your involuntary or unconscious effort senses the space to be interesting, and this is what gives you a sense of impression. Now that's why it's very important for retail and merchandising, where you want to attract the consumer for a particular object. Now for example, we are all sitting in this place. Suddenly these red roses are lit in a very different color. Probably the perception of it and everybody's focus will shift into that. And that is how the lighting is important, and it can change the whole perception. Well, these are few again examples of how the good lighting can be. This bigger image on the right hand side is of the same church where the altar is seen and only the arches are seen. How it's an optimized usage of light. See, we are been talking about using light, conserving energy through different medium of light. But I look at it in a different perspective. Even if you use your current luminaires or lamps or the sources available in a rational way, there is a lot amount of saving that you can do otherwise. Okay. Now with this, there is another factor that is human factor. It talks about level of illumination, color distinction, daylight blending, and the preferences. Now the preference is with respect to the color, with respect to the intensity of the light, with respect to the changing of the layouts, etc. Now all these preferences are often conditioning of a brain in geographical and cultural background, and that is where we see we Indians are more preferring more towards 6500 white light and with a higher intensity, because we are used to with sunlight most of the time. So that's why we have a tendency of a preference with the light in this context. Then we have efficiency, which I'm not going to talk about because whole thing has been talked about in a lot. Then okay, we come to the last aspect, that is the design aspect. How do we achieve a design solution out of this? We have seen design objectives, we have seen human perception, we have seen the vision and light. So how do we address a design solution? Okay. One is, there are three parameters which govern this: source of light, the distribution systems, application methods. Okay, source of lights, you know all how many different are, and we will not get into that. The characteristics of a lamp. Now this is of paramount importance, because with LED, this whole system is has changed a lot. We see various lamps with various spectral power distributions. Now LED is such which can have, one lamp can have all of them, depending on the depending on how that lamp is made. Then we have something called as correlated color temperature, which I think earlier in the day they have spoken about. Excuse me. And okay, this with particularly LED, as I explained, is very critical chart where you can understand how the light actually is available only the funnel, and above this and below this is not a correct light for perception. Now when we talk about the different varying color temperatures, what does it do and what does it render the space with? We come to an important aspect that is called as color rendering index. Now this is a very critical aspect as far as space perception is concerned, because the same space when lit in a different lights can can give you a different perception. And what does a CRI mean? What does it give at 90 and 70? There is an example at the right bottom of the slide where you can see the colors more distinctly. LED in present context is yet to come up to a good solutions for having better CRI. There are lamps which are having a better CRI so far, but LED with lower wattages is not able to come up to here, particularly at 2700 color temperature and 3000 color temperature. They still have a deficient CRI.
Not necessarily.
Largely whatever available in the market. Research, yes, I would say there is a lot of research, but it's not easily available. Now that is the very important thing. Well, coming mainly, okay, we have talked about sources, we have talked about the characteristics of it. We'll talk about orientation, how orientation can make the difference. Now there are largely three types of lighting solutions that we do. One is general, second is local, and third is accent. Now all the three uses different type of lamps and luminous. But with LED there is a shift in this. LED can be used anywhere. Largely, it could be used as general lighting, it could be used as local lighting, and can be used as accent lighting also, because of certain characteristics that it has. And hence, I would say there is a lot of merit in this particular source of lamps. I will not go into the detail explaining each because it will take too much of time, but this has got a lot of design attributes for these images. Okay, I'll say this image in front of you has a particular set of orientation of light. Now this is one and this is two. I think there is something wrong with the screen resolution. You are not able to see the colors properly, but you can see the difference in how the architectural space has been brought out. Now this kind of applications are possible only with these particular lamp sources. So that is where I say that LED in a way has given us consultants or designers a freedom of getting out the best architectural inputs or the values of the edifices. This is an example of how this is a proposed project, landscaping project for some company, where we are trying to get out the surface color textures using a similar type of again largely it is comprised more of LED sources. Now orientation, we talk about creative effects. This I'll just show insight into it. What are the key lights? In the first image you see only the key lights. Then the second image there is a field light or a background light, which is kind of complements the key. And the left bottom image is of the grazing, where a surface texture is grazing, and the last one is silhouetting. Now, with the change in the application or with the sources, there is also change as far as creative aspects are concerned. Nowadays, you'll see more of these spaces or more of the structures being lit up. Characteristics of the surface textures have been brought up and made visual. You'll see more of a silhouette lighting, which is predominantly used for public spaces for their reasons, specific reasons of visual information and communication signal. So this is again an example of how a light can be used without merely actually using too much of light, where you are using darkness itself as an attribute, where you see the side walls are lit indirectly, the spaces are lit directly, and the extreme right image, you see that atrium which has got a false ceiling, which has got a light inside without